Welcome to this explainer on the cellular basis of immunity. We rarely think about it, but right now, there is an elite special forces unit inside your body. Today, we're going to explore exactly how your immune system operates like a highly coordinated military network to keep you alive against invisible threats every single day.
Here is our tactical briefing for today. We'll be covering Section 1, Meet the Immune Army, Section 2, B cells and antibodies, Section 3, T cells as coordinators, Section 4, NK cell assassins, and finally, Section 5, the coordinated defense.
Let's dive right in with Section 1, Meet the Immune Army, the innate and adaptive forces.
So, where did these elite defenders actually come from? Well, they all start out in the exact same place, hematopoietic stem cells in the bone marrow. The immune system isn't just one big organ, right? It's a massive, networked army. And we can basically divide these troops into two main camps. First, you've got your rapid response innate cells. Think of neutrophils as your frontline grunts and dendritic cells as your intelligence gatherers. Then you've got the highly specialized adaptive cells, the B and T cells. Let's look a little closer at those specialists.
Section 2. B cells are antibody specialists and humoral defenders.
Okay, quick trivia question for you. Why exactly are they called B cells? Since we just talked about how they originate and mature in the bone marrow in mammals, you'd naturally think, oh, B stands for bone marrow. Makes total sense, right? Well, actually, no. It comes down to a really quirky piece of veterinary history.
The B historically stands for the bursa of Fabricius. This is a totally unique primary lymphoid organ found in birds, which is where these cells were first discovered to mature. It's a pretty wild reminder that our feathered friends were actually a super crucial scientific model for understanding the very foundations of human immunology.
So, when a B cell spots a specific invader, it gets activated and essentially clones itself, splitting down two totally different career paths. Path 1, plasma cells. These guys are terminally differentiated, meaning their one and only purpose in life is to be massive antibody factories. They literally pack themselves with secretory machinery to flood your system with targeted weapons. Path 2, memory B cells. These are the veterans. They hang back and stick around long after the battle is over, just waiting. If that exact same enemy ever shows up again, these memory cells launch a secondary response that is way faster and infinitely stronger.
Section 3. T cells, the cell-mediated command.
Now, over to the T cells, which get their name from the thymus, where they mature. These troops engage the enemy completely differently than B cells do. See, B cells can spot foreign invaders in their raw native form out in the biological wild. But T cells? They're the high command. They are incredibly picky. They require enemy intelligence to be chopped up, processed, and formally presented to them on a very specific molecular platter. We call this platter the major histocompatibility complex, or MHC for short. If the antigen isn't served up on that exact MHC platter, the T cells simply ignores it.
Once they finally get that intel, T cells split into two major ranks. First up are the CD4-positive helper cells. Now, don't let the word helper fool you. These aren't just assistants. They are the four-star generals acting as the major coordinators of the immune response. Second, you have the CD8-positive cytotoxic T lymphocytes. These are your elite assassins. Their whole job is to lock onto infected host cells, abnormal cells, or even tumor cells, and force them to undergo apoptosis, basically programmed cell death.
So with different T cells and different platters, how do you remember which MHC goes with which cell? Well, vet and med students use this incredibly simple trick, the rule of 8. MHC class 1 presents to CD8 cells, and MHC class 2 presents to CD4 cells. 1 times 8 is 8. 2 times 4 is 8. Just remember the math always equals 8 and you're golden.
Let's zoom in on those CD4 generals for a second, because again, they don't just help in some vague generic way. They make up a diverse pie of highly specialized coordinators. You've got Th1 cells directing the attack against intracellular pathogens by waking up macrophages. Th2 cells, they handle the big parasites, like helminths, and deal with allergies. Th17 cells manage the barricades at your skin and mucosa. Then there's the T follicular helpers, or TFH, acting as direct liaisons to help B cells turn out top-tier antibodies. And crucially, we have the regulatory T cells, or TREGs. They're the brakes. They are absolutely vital for calming the whole system down so it doesn't overreact and attack your own body.
Section 4. Natural killer cell assassins, the innate rogues.
Okay, but what if a sneaky virus tries to pull a fast one? What if it tries to hide from those highly trained adaptive T cells by just removing its MHC platters altogether? Enter the natural killer, or NK cells.
These are the rapid response rogues of the innate immune system. They don't care about conventional MHC restriction. They don't need highly specific antigen targets. Instead, they patrol your body looking for missing self patterns. If a stressed or virally infected cell tries to lay low by failing to show normal MHC class I expression, the NK cell spots that suspicious absence immediately. Boom! It drops perforin and granzymes to induce apoptosis, taking out the hidden threat before it can even replicate.
Section 5. The coordinated immune defense, the central principle of immunology.
Because here's the thing, no cell in this incredible army works alone. Let's look at how a coordinated counterattack actually plays out during a typical bacterial infection. Here is the chronological battle plan. Step 1, an intelligence-gathering dendritic cell nabs the invading pathogen. Step 2, it travels straight to a lymph node and presents that processed intel to a naive CD4 T cell, firing it up with cytokines. Step 3, this activated general, that CD4 T cell, now orchestrates the larger war. It provides specific help to B cells and activates the frontline macrophages. Step 4, this unleashes a massive wave of antibody production and aggressive microbial killing, eventually wiping the threat completely from your body.
And this exact coordinated process is exactly what makes vaccines work. By safely introducing a harmless piece of a pathogen, we are essentially running a training simulation for this Special Forces network. We force the system to generate those veteran memory B and T cells. That means if you ever face a real, live exposure to that disease, your immune system launches a secondary response that is mind-blowingly fast and overwhelmingly strong. That's exactly why we use booster immunizations, by the way, to amplify and totally solidify that protective cellular memory.
So, to wrap up this explainer, your immunity is absolutely not just a single shield. It is this beautifully complex, interconnected network. You've got innate rapid responders like NK cells executing hidden threats, adaptive B cell factories building long-term memory, and T cells acting as master coordinators and lethal assassins. This invisible cooperation is literally what keeps us alive every single day. Which leaves us with a truly provocative thought. If natural cellular cooperation can create such powerful immune memory, how long until we can artificially program these specific units to target and permanently eradicate any complex disease on command? Thanks for exploring the cellular basis of immunity with me. Keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.